I was frankly amazed at how many Democrats decided to defend Obama taking $400,000 from Wall Street for a speech. So the worst example of this is Trevor Noah. Here's what The Daily Show proudly tweeted. People are saying Obama shouldn't accept the money for his speech. So the first black president must also be the first one to not take money afterwards? Fuck that and fuck you. No, Trevor Noah, fuck you. This is case in point of the bastardization of identity politics. This is the absolute worst of identity politics. So at its best, identity politics acknowledges, a real systemic injustice or problem against a minority group, and then you fight back to try to make that group equal. That's reasonable. That's what the civil rights movement was about. If you talk about, for example, women's rights movement in the Middle East, atheist rights, or whatever the case is, minority groups needing somebody to step up and say, no, you have to treat them equally. That's identity politics at its best. It's identifying a group and saying, hey, you're systemically discriminated against. Now let's do our best to make it equal. This is the bastardization of identity politics. You know how I called Hillary Clinton a McFeminist, and how I call many Democratic partisan hacks McLiberals? Well, this is a case of Trevor Noah playing the McRacism game. What's at the core of what he's saying? He's arguing, oh, there you go again, holding the black guy to a different standard because you're racist. But that's totally made up, because every single person who's complaining about President Obama taking $400,000 for a speech to Wall Street would complain about it, and they do complain about it when it's Howard Dean who's a massive sellout, when it's John Kerry who's a massive sellout, when it's any Democrat, Republican, politician, public figure who's responsible for decisions that affect our lives. So the funny thing is, he's actually guilty of what he's accusing people on the left of being guilty of here. He would say, these far left kooks saying he shouldn't take the money. Why has it got to be the first black president that doesn't take the money? Why are you holding him to a different standard? But that's just the point. Nobody's holding him to a different standard. Nobody's saying, hey, don't take that money because you're black. But it's okay if the white people take it. Hillary Clinton's white. Did we say, it's cool, she's white, she can do it? No, nobody said that. But then again, the dodge they use is, so the first woman, you're going to be mad because the first woman takes money? Again, we're mad when anybody takes money from Wall Street if they're a politician. So it's a straw man of the entire issue, but he's guilty of what he's accusing others of being guilty of. Why? Because what he's saying is, hey, it's the first black president, give him a pass. Why would I give him a pass when I don't give anybody a pass? In Trevor Noah's mind, give him a pass because he's black. So he's using that as a shield to deflect and obfuscate from genuine criticism. This is exactly what Hillary's supporters did for her, during the campaign. You could come with just a barrel of substantive attacks against her, like we did. Hey, she voted for the Patriot Act, which ripped up the Constitution. You no longer have due process. You no longer have habeas corpus. You no longer have protection from unreasonable search and seizure. The government no longer needs a warrant to describe a specific person or place to be searched. So totally destroyed your constitutional rights. She voted for the Iraq War. She orchestrated intervention in Libya, supports intervention in Syria, supported TPP, supported NAFTA, supported deregulation of Wall Street. But after you pointed out 32 different things that are legitimate to be mad at her for, because it shows that she's fairly right-wing, very corporatist, very hawkish, they go, you just don't like her because she's a woman. Bernie bro, you're a sexist Bernie bro. Well, again, it's just a sleazy, disgusting trick that deflects and obfuscates from the real issues. The real reason we were against her is because she was a corporatist, because she's a hawk, because her voting record is abysmal, because she takes the money from Wall Street. Now, in the case of Obama, exact same thing. everybody's mad at him for the principled reason of, oh, you're just another part of this disgusting, corrupt system. So it's not that we're holding him to a different standard, it's that we're holding him to the same standard. Obama came up and said, I'm not just going to play the same old Washington politics. We're going to change the game. He made it seem like he was above the fray and he's going to do the systemic reform that was needed. And he did some good things, but he did some horrific things, including bailing out Wall Street and not prosecuting the criminals who were responsible for the collapse of our economy. We had the subprime mortgage crisis. We had the Great Recession. We had, institutions like Goldman Sachs who had fraud as a business model. Did Obama put any of them in jail? No, he bailed them out, allowed them to pay out their bonuses to the people who bankrupted their companies and crashed the economy. And this is them paying him back. But I gave you the worst example. That's Trevor Noah here. Now let's go on to what unfortunately is one of the better examples of a Democrat semi-defending him. But the reason I'm giving you this is because it'll show you the Overton window in Washington and in corporate media and what's the spectrum of thought that's considered legitimate. So this is Van Jones. He said, Obama should go to Appalachia, go to Native American reservations where they're shoving these pipelines down their throats and they don't even have clear running water. Go to South Central, go to the Arizona border where you have a lot of poverty. Obama should not be the first president to have to be broke. If he would do a poverty tour first from a moral point of view, it would be great for him to do. Every other president went out there and gave big speeches. Don't hold them to a second standard. Don't give a double standard to him. If he were to do a poverty tour, then go ahead, do a big speech later. Okay, first of all, no, the president's not going to be broke, Van. He just got a $65 million book advance. So this idea of what's he going to do if he doesn't go give speeches to Wall Street to get paid? Do other things that are much more noble to get paid. That's point number one. That's just a dodge and a silly point. So what? You want this president to be broke? And the double standard, don't hold him to a double standard. Again, nobody's holding him to a double standard. We don't want any politicians going to get paid from Wall Street. And then finally, when he says, look, if he does a poverty tour first, then it would be okay to go to Wall Street. That's not true, Van, because going to Wall Street is just a symptom of the problem. The problem is money in politics. The problem is mega corporations and Wall Street and the military-industrial complex. They run our government. They own our politicians. So that's the core problem. That's the virus. That's the cancer in the system. And then Obama is just like every other politician because he leaves office and he goes, okay, time for me to get paid and get my pat on the back for doing all the work that I did for Wall Street, for the big corporations. I looked out for them. I scratched their back. They scratched mine. People would say, oh, no, but he did Dodd-Frank reform, which regulated Wall Street. It was colossally weak. We needed strong legislation. We needed to bring back Glass-Steagall. They didn't bring back Glass-Steagall. They brought back Dodd-Frank, which had a million loopholes. And then as time went by, even the few regulations inside of Dodd-Frank that were good were removed. So he looked out for them. He bailed them out. He didn't prosecute them. And this is them paying him back. Van, under no circumstance is it okay for government officials, for politicians to go to the industries that corrupted them and get their pay, get their bribe. That's what this is. That's what this was all along. So no, it doesn't make it any better if you do a poverty tour, because the poverty tour would be, lipstick on a pig, effectively. Hey, look at me. I care so much about the middle class and the poor. Anyway, now I'm going to go to Wall Street and get paid. But this is the spectrum of thought that's acceptable in the mainstream media. You have The Daily Show. Oh, by the way, Jon Stewart, even though he's alive, he must be rolling over in his grave. Watching that segment, oh my God. You have The Daily Show who's just like, oh, you must be racist if you call out Obama for being corrupt and taking legal bribes. And you have Van Jones who says, well, look, it's not cool. He shouldn't really do it. But I guess if he were to go and do a poverty tour first, then he could do it. That'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah. No, none of that's good. None of that's okay. And the fact that you can't point out the obvious in the mainstream media is quite telling. Because what's the obvious? The obvious is he is a deeply corrupt politician. We have an oligarchic form of government, a corporatocracy, and the needs and the wants and the wishes of the American people in a democracy aren't even considered. What's considered is, what do the donors want? And the donors are the people on Wall Street. So the fact that anybody could defend Obama, even in the slightest, for doing this, it really shows that you're dealing with people who they don't care about the fundamental issues affecting the American people. They're involved in politics because they want to play for a team. They view it as like sports. I'm Team Blue. Yay, Democrats. I'm Team Red. Yay, Republicans. Make America great again. But you guys are silly people, and you allowed corporations and the establishment to set up the parameters of the debate, the terms of the debate. And the terms of the debate are 100% on the grounds of corporatism is okay, oligarchy is okay, money in politics is okay. Have your vibrant debate on the far right wing of the spectrum in this little fucking zone. And even the left of that spectrum is pretty conservative and pretty right wing and 100% corporatist and 100% in favor of the oligarchy.